And an Indian billionaire's son has offered to help Colombia get rid of a problem it has grappled with for years. A herd of hippos linked to notorious drug lord Pablo Escobar, who was shot dead by police in 1993, illegally imported exotic animals, including a male and a female hippopotamus, dubbed the cocaine hippos.
A trial pitting two founders of OpenAI, Sam Altman and Elon Musk, against each other has opened in California, with the sides presenting dueling narratives about the company's history and obligations to consumers. Musk, wearing a dark suit and tie, was asked by one of his lawyers what the lawsuit was about when he took the stand.
European lawmakers have voted in favour of defining sex without active consent as rape, marking a historic step for women's rights and survivors of sexual violence in the EU. The European Parliament's resolution, passed on Tuesday by an overwhelming margin, urges all EU member states to adopt an only yes means yes legal standard for consent, while recognising that a yes obtained through coercion is not valid. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Israel of knowingly allowing grain stolen by Russia to be unloaded at Israeli ports, threatening to impose sanctions on anyone involved in the shipments, which Kyiv says have continued despite multiple appeals to Israeli officials. Zelensky's warning Tuesday reflects a deepening rift between the two countries, brought to a head by the arrival in Israeli waters of a vessel named Panamitis, which entered Haifa Bay last week and is currently anchored offshore, apparently awaiting a berth. Ukraine says the ship is carrying wheat stolen from occupied Ukrainian territories and would be the second such shipment to dock and unload in Haifa this month.
And an Israeli military battalion that assaulted and detained a CNN team in the occupied West Bank has been redeployed after a one-month suspension. An Israeli security source told CNN the reserve unit, which functions under the ultra-Orthodox Netzer Yehuda battalion, underwent an education seminar and additional training, the source said. According to Israel's army radio, the unit is expected to return to full operation activities in the coming days. And Greek police have arrested an 89-year-old man in connection with a double shooting in Athens that left 5 people injured. The suspect was detained on Tuesday in the city of Patra, more than 200 kilometers, 124 miles west of the capital, following a large manhunt. The suspect had allegedly begun the shooting spree as he opened fire inside a social security agency in the district of Kerameikos in the center of Athens. And the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty is the most extensive arms control agreement in the world. It has 191 signatories and is based on a simple principle. Countries without nuclear weapons won't acquire them, and those that do will give them up.
Washington, D.C., the 60-day mark of the United States and Israel's war with Iran, represents a fork in the road for U.S. lawmakers. Will they assert their authority, either in support or against the conflict, or remain silent? It is a question that experts say lawmakers technically should not have to answer.
And President Donald Trump has hit out at Germany's Friedrich Merz over the Chancellor's criticism of the United States-Israeli war on Iran, stressing that the conflict was necessary to prevent Tehran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Trump's comment on Tuesday reflected his often expressed frustration with European and NATO allies over their unwillingness to fully back the war or take part in it. And almost as soon as OpenAI announced that its major investor and cloud partner, Microsoft, no longer has exclusive rights to any of its products, Amazon started gloating. After the revised OpenAI-Microsoft agreement was announced on Monday, Amazon CEO Andy Jassy noted in a tweet that it was a very interesting announcement. That agreement solved OpenAI's problem of allowing AWS to offer its products, an issue that crystallized after it signed an up to $50 billion deal with Amazon. Islamabad. Energy prices are projected to surge by 24% this year to their highest level since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, as the war in the Middle East sends a severe shock through global commodity markets, and the World Bank Group said in its latest commodity markets outlook. Overall, commodity prices are forecast to rise 16% in 2026, driven by soaring energy and fertilizer prices and record high prices for several key metals, and according to the assessment.
Former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted for a second time and will face charges brought by the US Department of Justice. Multiple sources told the BBC's US partner CBS News the specific charges are not known, but the sources said they relate to an image Comey briefly shared on Instagram last year that showed seashells forming the numbers 8647.
Nepali mountaineers have cleared a route past a huge chunk of ice on Mount Everest that has blocked climbers from moving up past base camp for 2 weeks. Ram Krishna Lamishain, Nepal's Director General of Tourism, told the BBC that icefall doctors had now fixed ropes up to Camp 2, located at roughly 6,400 to 6,500 meters, 21,000 to 21,325 feet high.
And the United Arab Emirates. UAE is quitting the OPEC and OPEC Plus groups of major oil-producing nations next month after nearly 60 years of membership. The UAE said its decision would help it meet growing global energy demand in the long term after recent investments to boost its production capacity.
The United Arab Emirates has announced its withdrawal from OPEC and the wider OPEC Plus framework, removing a core pillar of one of the most influential groups in the energy world, the Gulf country, with a capacity of approximately 4.8 million barrels per day and significant room to increase output, announced on Tuesday that it would quit the organization to focus on national interests.
And Mali's military leader, Assimi Goïta, has met the Russian ambassador to the East African country. According to his office, Goïta's office published photos of the meeting on Tuesday in what was his first public appearance since rebel attacks over the weekend that killed one of his ministers.
Google has granted the US Department of Defense access to its AI for classified networks, essentially allowing all lawful uses, according to multiple news reports. This deal follows Anthropic's public stand against the Trump administration after the model maker refused to grant the DoD the same terms. The Pentagon wanted unrestricted use of AI, whereas Anthropic wanted guardrails to prevent its AI from being used for domestic mass surveillance and autonomous weapons.
Match Group, the dating app behemoth that owns Match, Tinder, OkCupid and Hinge, says that it has invested $100 million in yet another mobile service designed to bring people together, a Grindr competitor known as Sneffies. The website for Sniffies sports various images of men in their underwear. That tells you pretty much all you need to know about the app, which is a self-proclaimed cruising or hookup matching service for gay men. The app includes what it calls a real-time, fully interactive map of nearby cruisers and popular local cruising spots.
Amazon launched a new AI-powered feature on Tuesday that allows users to ask questions about products and receive conversational audio responses generated in real time. The responses are delivered by what the company calls AI-powered shopping experts, which present information in a natural discussion-style format. The new Join the Chat feature aims to save customers time by providing key product details without requiring them to scroll through lengthy descriptions or reviews. The AI pulls together insights about product features, customer feedback, and other relevant information. For example, shoppers can ask questions like whether a coffee maker is suited for beginners or whether a sweater feels itchy based on customer reviews.
SpaceX's board approved a compensation plan for founder Elon Musk with goals as futuristic and celestial as the company's ambitions, colonizing Mars and running data centers in outer space. The details of Musk's sweeping pay package were revealed in the company confidential registration statement filed in recent weeks with the Securities and Exchange Commission and have been reviewed by Reuters. Islamabad. Health Minister Mustafa Kamal on Tuesday said Pakistan currently had 84,000 registered HIV cases, while no case had been reported from Townsa this year. Townsa, a city in Punjab, has been in the headlines in recent days after an investigation by BBC revealed that serious malpractices in the children's ward of a government hospital there continued months after the facility was linked to an outbreak of HIV among children. Bosnia and Herzegovina has signed a deal to construct a gas pipeline that is backed by investors connected to United States President Donald Trump and promises to reduce the country's dependence on Russian supply. The agreement, signed with neighbouring Croatia on Tuesday at a summit in the city of Dubrovnik, aims to relieve Sarajevo of its reliance on Russian gas, which it needs to do in advance of a European Union ban on energy purchases from Moscow set to take effect next year.
Last year, WhatsApp and Apple notified several people in Italy, including journalists and activists, that they had been targeted with government spyware. In particular, WhatsApp pointed the finger at the Israeli-American surveillance tech maker Paragon Solutions as the company that provided the technology for a hacking campaign that targeted around 90 people around the world with its graphite spyware. The notifications prompted a scandal in Italy that is still unfolding. After being notified of the attacks, a number of victims filed criminal complaints with Italian authorities, and prosecutors then opened an investigation.
And remittance inflows will jump significantly to $50 billion from the current level of around $38 billion when cryptocurrencies are legalized and properly regulated in Pakistan. And chairman of the Exchange Companies Association of Pakistan, Malik Boston, said in a meeting today, Zafar Paracha, Sheikh Sajid Hussain, Syed Zohaib, and chairman Pakistan Virtual Assets Regulatory Authority, Pivra Bilal bin Saqib, and other stakeholders from the exchange company sector attended this meeting.
The Federal Directorate of Education, FDE, has launched an online admission portal for the academic session 2026-2027, making it publicly accessible for applicants seeking admission to institutions under the FDE. Officials said the portal has been introduced to streamline the admission process and provide a transparent and centralised platform for students and parents. The FDE said the system allows applicants to check real-time seat availability and view merit lists for various classes and schools. The Capital Development Authority, CDA, has reinstated 18 officers who were removed during the tenure of former Chairman Chaudhry Muhammad Ali Randhawa. These officers, earlier transferred to the Human Resource Development (HRD) department, have now been posted back to their original positions or reassigned to new roles across various departments.
The Strait of Hormuz remains in effect closed with a US naval blockade still in place. About 3,000 Iran-bound containers are stranded in Pakistan as costs rise and Washington's signals shift. Iran is pushing diplomacy from Moscow to Islamabad. Can talks to end the US-Israel war still move forward? In this episode,
Australia is getting serious about making big tech pay for news. The country's government unveiled draft legislation on Tuesday that would require companies like Meta, Google and TikTok to pay for the journalism they aggregate or reshare or face a levy on their local revenues, Communications Minister Anika Wells said at a press conference today. People are increasingly getting their news directly from Facebook, from TikTok and from Google. The US Supreme Court on Monday heard arguments in a landmark legal case that could redefine digital privacy rights for people across the United States. The case, Chatri v. United States, centres on the government's controversial use of so-called geofence search warrants. Law enforcement and federal agents use these warrants to compel tech companies like Google to turn over information about which of its billions of users were in a certain place and time based on their phone's location.